Hello. Good day to you, fine, beautiful humans. Hope you're having a beautiful day. It's a beautiful end of summer, sunny, cool day here in Pennsylvania. Weather's starting to give out a little bit, starting to feel a little cooler. It's a beautiful day and enjoying the beautiful weather out here at the park. Wanted to jump on here with you today and share a little bit of a philosophy I've been developing for myself and working on for several years. And I've mentioned the gist of it in the title of this video, and it's really moving from a state of self-rejection into a state of self-celebration. And I'll share with you just a little bit of my journey and kind of how I personally developed through these stages and some key points in kind of developing through these stages. You know, there's a time in my life when, I was experiencing a high degree of self-rejection, rejecting who I was at my core, the core of my being. And I think a lot of that came from just my childhood, my upbringing. Nothing that was intentionally implanted, but just some ideas I think that I picked up along the way through my maybe religious, spiritual upbringing, and just cultural ideas that were implanted and maybe implanted subconsciously. But a lot of rejection around who I was, around my own personal being. And I found that, like around my mid-20s, I found myself at a place in life where I was experiencing a high degree of self-rejection, not allowing who I was to be fully accepted and come through. And it was causing me a great degree of depression and darkness in my life. And it was during that time period that I kind of began exploring with some of these principles and experimenting with some of these principles and really moving into a space of self-love and self-acceptance and self-appreciation and self-celebration. So I kind of have taken some time and kind of worked these principles out a little bit and wanted to share them with you here today. So the first phase of self-love, self-celebration is self-acceptance. It's moving from a space of rejecting who we are to simply just a space of accepting who we are, just learning to be okay with who it is that we are. And I'm not sure if there's anything in particular that can really give us the permission to do this other than just a decision to just say, I want to stop rejecting who it is that I am at my core and just learn to be okay with ourselves. Maybe up through middle school, high school, college, we're still trying to figure all that out and really work out who it is that we're okay with being. And we come to a space in our lives when we can just learn to just be okay with who we are. So we're moving from self-rejection into, or self-hate or self-denial into just a space of acceptance, saying I'm okay with who I am. Moving from a space of I don't like who I am or what I am into a space of accepting who and what I am. And again, maybe this comes from our childhood conditioning, the ideas that were given to us through our family, our religion, cultural upbringing. Maybe beliefs around our authenticity, our desires, our tastes, our sexuality, our own natural self-expression. And just learning to say that I can accept myself. And just learning to, just at a very base level, just be at peace with ourselves. Being okay with our own uniqueness and our own authentic, unique sense of self-expression, our own weirdness, our own preferences, being okay with all of that. And just learning to be okay with ourselves, learning to be okay by ourselves and our own company. And once we begin to allow this energy of resisting who it is that we are and learning just to be okay with who it is that we are, it's like we can take all the energy that we are applying to resisting who it is that we are, we can just let that just go away. And we can just learn a real natural energy, learn to allow a real natural energy flow to come through. And remove that resistance and just kind of be okay with our being, with who it is that we are at our essence. Just simply saying, I'm okay with me. And once we learn to just kind of be okay with who we are, we can move from self-acceptance into self-love. And we can begin to allow our own natural energy to flow. And we can learn to kind of develop and feel a sense of of warmth, a sense of love for ourselves, a sense of kindness, a sense of compassion, a sense of nurturing towards ourselves. And we can truly begin to feel a sense of love for ourselves. And I liken this love like maybe learning to look at ourselves through the eyes of our Creator, whatever that means to you, knowing that we are whole and complete and divine just as we are, and perfectly made just as we are, learning to view ourselves the same way a parent might view their child or might view a newborn, with a sense of just unconditional love for no good reason. Maybe learning to view ourselves the same way, that with the same sense of love that we can love someone that's in our lives that we love dearly, maybe a child or a parent or a loved one. Maybe just that same kind of warmth and feeling that we can have towards a pet, just very simply. And as we allow that love to grow and that warmth to grow, we can begin to develop a sense of deserving and worthiness and allowing and receiving. Maybe appreciation can come into our lives, the feeling of peace, joy, prosperity can begin to bubble up. Maybe it's subtle, but we're starting to feel an inner warmth towards ourselves. The energy can flow more powerfully now. Now, this is something that a lot of people I find have a hard time with, because they say, well, why should I love myself? But you know what? You can choose to love yourself for no good reason at all, simply because you can. That's a choice. And maybe you might say, well, I don't know how to love myself. But you know what? It's a really interesting exercise. Maybe we just learn to develop the feeling of love. Like, imagine the feeling of love that you might have toward a significant other, toward a child, toward a parent, toward a pet. That sense of love, experiencing that, and then just giving it to yourself. And just allowing that feeling to wash over you and cleanse you and purify you. So we can create that feeling through a sense of through exercises. Now, after we move from self-rejection or self-acceptance into a feeling of a sense of, or a state of self-love, then moving into a sense of a state of self-celebration, where we don't just love ourselves, but we're proud of who we are. We're celebrating who we are. There's a sense of joy, an ecstatic sense of joy, of happiness, of exuberance. Not just being okay with ourselves and loving ourselves, but really having a powerful desire to share who we are, to contribute who we are. A sense of divinity and worthiness. A remembering of our royalty as children of God. We're excited by life. We're excited to share and contribute and to experience life. As we move from acceptance into love, we can truly begin to honor who we are and express it with joy. And we're eager to do that. And we're eager to do that in an authentic way, in a genuine way, giving our own unique, authentic gifts, talents, abilities. And as we begin to experience this outpouring, we can then begin to receive an outpouring or an inpouring of abundance, of love, of joy, of prosperity, because that which we give, we can now receive, and we're vibrating with that, and we're aligning with that energy. And this is the phase that I'm continually working on, probably from the self-love into the self-celebration phase. Learning to be excited by who I am and what I am and the gifts I have to share and to bring, and be excited and energized by that. And this is not something that can happen all at once. Maybe it can, but for me, it's been a decade's worth of work, So we can move them very intentionally through stages. But the idea that I want to share, the essence of my message today, is that we can experience a fullness of good, of love, of acceptance, of joy, of celebration, of flow, of allowing, of abundance, of receiving. But I believe it can be a very intentional moving through those stages, and it can be yours. So I would love to hear your thoughts, experiences on this, your ideas regarding this. I hope you've found this helpful. And if you have any ideas or contributions to this conversation, I would love to hear them. Thank you, everybody who's jumped on here. I'll make sure I go back and connect with all your messages and comments. If you found this video helpful, please comment, like it, share it, tag a friend if you think someone needs to hear this. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye-bye.